Okay guys, we're back at the Ranger, and Bernard Agencies has been kind enough to send us some Glock Gen 6s, a pair of them, so very excited to test them out. I've obviously looked at a couple of them at Waterfall Arms. I shot a Glock 19 Gen 6 and a really good, decent gun. I wasn't too happy with the trigger, but I spoke to Gaz over here and he said, you know, it's a new gun, maybe some lube issues and so forth, so these guns are lubed up, and yeah, very keen to test them out. So just having a look at the Gen 4, so this is my old Gen 4 which is retired now, but the Gen 4s obviously came with the finger grooves and so forth. I did a double undercut on it, and this gun has seen just over 100,000 rounds. Then this is my Glock 47 Gen 5, and obviously also no finger grooves, and you'll see a difference in the beaver tail as well, and then also no undercut. And with the Gen 5, the stippling doesn't go all the way up. Now obviously I have some grip tape on this one, so you won't be able to see it, but the stippling doesn't go all the way up onto the frame. So but the Gen 6 looks fairly the same. The grip is definitely a little bit different, which I like, and then it's got no gas pedal cut or thumb rest, as many people like to call it. And also the trigger on the Gen 6 is a lot different than the Gen 5. So looking at the Gen 6, we'll talk about the parts and everything in a minute, but there's a clear difference in the texture of the grip. And then I'm not sure if it can be seen, but it's got a nice palm swell to the grip as well. So the ergonomics of this gun is on point. I really like it. Now there's mixed feelings about the thumb rest or the gas pedal, which I don't have an issue with. If you use it, use it. If you don't use it, you won't feel it, so it shouldn't bother you. And then the Gen 6 comes with a stock undercut. So there's a little undercut where your middle finger goes. Maybe that'll help with the Glock knuckle a little bit, but we'll see in time. And then as you can see, it's got a nice extended beaver tail as well. So for the guys that used to get slide bite from the slide, you won't have that anymore. Well, I don't think, but you shouldn't get a slide bite. Now I never had an issue with that, so all feels normal to me. I know a lot of people like to cut this off because of the draw and stuff. It shouldn't make a difference in my opinion. And then as you can see, the texture on the Gen 6 comes all the way up almost to the slide on both sides, and then the back strap is also nice and textured. So that's a very good addition to the Gen 6. Like you see on my Gen 5, I applied grip tape to it. With the Gen 6, I don't think grip tape is necessary. It's got just enough grip. So even if you carry this, you EDC or everyday carry this in appendix or 3 o'clock position, the texture is not that rough that it's gonna hurt you if you're not wearing a vest or something underneath your shirt. So I think it'll be good to go there. But also in time, I'm gonna get myself a pair of these, and we'll see if we carry it, what it does. So everything else, all good. The trigger definitely different than the standard Gen 4, Gen 3 triggers. The feel of the trigger, not the break of the trigger, but the feel of the trigger is definitely a massive improvement from previous generations, again, in my opinion. And then a big thing for me that I really like about the Gen 6 is it's got a direct mount optic system. So you don't have to get an optic plate, and then you have the slide, an optic plate, and then your optic. So this has a direct mount onto the slide itself. So you don't have 4 points of failures. It's only the 2 screws that goes directly into the slide that can fail. In my experience with direct mount optics, like with my Gen 4 doesn't have a plate, so I milled the slide. It's directly mounted onto it. And then also on my my Glock 45, it's got a direct mount optic, and I've never had any failures with that. But on my 47, I've had the optic plate shear off. I think that happens to everyone, right? So the direct mount is a very nice addition. where is the, so you direct mount the optic, and then you get these little plastic inserts that goes onto the slide. So this doesn't have any effect on how you mount the optic or how it gets mounted by the screws. This helps you, like you can see, these little plastic bits have recoil lugs in them. So on every optic at the bottom, it's got a space where those recoil lugs fit in. So it just keeps the optic nice and snug. But when I get mine, we'll mount it, we'll test it, we'll shoot a whole bunch of rounds and see if it comes loose or anything like that. But that's just the outside of the Gen 6. Really impressed with it. I think it's the best feeling Glock that's ever been made, or that I've owned or shot. The palm swell's very nice, and yeah, let's talk about the inside, and then we'll get to some shooting. Okay, good. So we had a look at the outside of the Gen 6 versus the Gen 5. I'm not really going to talk about the Gen 4 because that's a lot different. So what's firstly noticeable from the Gen 6 to the Gen 5 is the Gen 5 has a dual captured recoil spring, where the Gen 6 has a single captured recoil spring. So I think that's the major difference that's firstly noticeable. And then also the trigger on the Gen 6 versus the stock trigger. Now this doesn't have a stock trigger, but the stock trigger will look like the Gen 4 stock trigger on the Gen 5. So what you can immediately see from the Gen 6 is what the trigger firstly feels like, looks like, and then on the inside it's very similar to the Gen 5 in shape, but they are not interchangeable. So I think that's a question that we get very often, is what's interchangeable from the Gen 6 to the Gen 5. Now I think we need to have a look at it this way. Gen 6, just keep all Gen 6 parts to Gen 6 and keep all Gen 5 parts to Gen 5, because there's very little that's interchangeable between the two. Now there is some parts, but we don't want to get too technical. So if you have a Gen 6, buy Gen 6 parts. If you have a Gen 5, buy Gen 5 parts, and then the same with a Gen 4. Although some small parts might be interchangeable, just keep them separate. And then maybe at this angle you can see the nice palm swells on the Gen 5, and then also Gen 6, sorry, and then also the Gen 6 also comes now with a stepped chamber, right? Then the other noticeable difference between the Gen 6 and the Gen 5 is the extractor system. So you can see with the Gen 6 what the extractor system look like over here, and then on the Gen 5 it's different. So on the Gen 5 you have what they call a EDP, which is a long rod that goes from here to the back of your to the optic plate, and then on this one it doesn't go to the back. So I think what they did here was, because of the optic system that's now directly mounted, it's not called the MOS anymore, it's an optics ready system. So because of this, they've shortened the extractor system over here, and then as you can see there's a little hole over here. So once everything's taken apart, you just put your Glock armorer's tool in there, it'll click, and then you can then basically remove and clean the extractor system. Okay, and then on the Gen 6, like you can see at the back, it's also adopted the V model cover plate, which you can see there's a little shape change at the, let's say, the bottom, or now the top of the cover plate, where the Gen 5 is obviously just straight up and down. Same with the Gen 4 is just straight up and down. So also comes with a V model cover plate, and that's why we say if you buy parts, don't buy parts because they're interchangeable. Just for the Gen 6, buy their own parts. Gen 5, Gen 4, just have different cases with different parts. And that's it for the in and out of the Gen 6. Let's load some mags and get to shooting. Okay, so first shots with the Glock Gen 6. This is the 17 model, and we're going to start off just with like practical accuracy. Just make sure everything works everything's all good, and then we'll take it from there. So let me just move this guy. Okay, let's load up some ammo. Good old iron sights. Let's just get a good grouping and see what it does. Okay, good. So I'm not sure how many shots was that, but grouping's good. Iron sights are working. So let's move on to a little bit of speedier stuff. Shot a good group, everything's working, everything is nice. So let's do some doubles and just see what the recoil feels like. Okay, good. So still all in there. I'll get the timer and just see what the splits is, but recoil's feeling good, and then I can feel like when I put a little bit more pressure into it, then I'm shooting a little bit low, release the pressure, then I got the one high. But all in all, the recoil feels really, really good. So the single captured recoil spring really, I won't say it makes a big difference, but there, to me, compared to the Gen 5, it's roughly the same. But the ergonomics, the feel of the gun, the palm swells, the grip, the texture on the frame is really, really awesome. So yeah, enjoying this this Gen 6 Glock 17. So what I'm going to do now, we've done a couple of doubles. I'm just going to work from the draw and then just see a draw and index if we can get into that alpha. And then we'll also see with a new trigger, obviously it's the stock Gen 6 trigger, we're going to see on the split times if it makes any difference. So let's just see. So let's work from the draw, see what happens. Okay, so that's a 16 split. So very consistent. So 0.71 draw with a 16 split. Let's do that again. Okay, so a little bit of a slower split. So we've got a 0.69 draw with a 19 split. Okay, so 0.68, 18 split. Let's run 6 and see. Good, so 0.78. Let's look at the splits. 20, 15, 15, 15. So 15, 17, 15, 15, 15. Good, it's, yeah, guys, really enjoying the Gen 6 17. We'll clean up the hits a little bit, first time shooting at iron sights, so yeah, really happy with that. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we've got two targets. We're going to be roughly at around 7 meters, and we're just going to do a transition. So from one target to the other, just see how the sight tracks, how the recoil tracks from one target to the other, and then obviously the index on the draw. But what I want to feel from the Gen 6 is just the ergonomics, see how it feels in the hand, and what the recoil. So the goal is going to be to, in the second shot, on the recoil, I need to transition to the next target, and then yeah, let's just see what it does. Okay, stand by. Okay, so over transitioned on the left. Let's do that again. Okay, let's go left to right. Okay guys, so after shooting the 17 Gen 6, there's absolutely no way you can buy any other gun. This is not a marketing thing. I'm not sponsored by Glock or anything like that. Everyone knows I love my Glocks, but this is just a different piece of equipment. It's not like any Glock that I've shot before, like we know from Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5. They were roughly all the same. They felt the same. The triggers were roughly the same, but there was minor changes and they made it better as the generations carried on. But this gun is absolutely phenomenal. The grip texture, the feel in the hand, the way it tracks in shooting. To be honest, I was a little bit skeptical about the single captured recoil spring, but it's magic. The gun tracks really well. The trigger, like I said in the beginning, I shot the 19 at Waterfall Arms, and that trigger didn't feel good to me. There was a little bit of a hung up issue, where with this one it's very consistent. Like the brake is very consistent, and what I like about this trigger is it brakes far back, but that also then makes the reset a little bit shorter. So I'm sure from the video you'll see, like, it's not too often that you can split 15s with a Glock the first time you're shooting them, and we did that fairly consistently today with this gun. So backstrap is nice. The ergonomics of the gun is really, really good. The trigger is good. Feeds well, obviously. The mag well. The undercut also feels lacquer. I didn't think I would notice it that much, but it really feels like you can get higher up on the gun from the draw. So yeah, really, really happy with the Gen 6. If you have any questions, leave a comment in the comment section below. Follow the page, subscribe, do all those nice social media things. And once again, just a massive thank you to Nikki, Gaz and the team over at Bernard Agencies for bringing the guns out for me to shoot them. It's a real honor, and yeah, see you on the next one.